Hey YouTube, this is Joshua and this is Connor, and we're here with Chamber 1 Tactical, and the purpose of this video today will be to discuss the new Springfield Echelon, so let's get into it.
So the firearm we're going to review today is actually the Springfield Echelon, which we have right here. But before we dive into the Echelon, I do want Joshua to go over the guns that we're going to be reviewing in the future.
Yeah, so we have the CZ P10C, we have a PSA Dagger Compact, we also do have the Micro Dagger on order with the standard slide and also the compensated slide coming in as well. We have the Canic Rival, we have the Springfield Prodigy, and the CZ Tactical Sport Orange, and many other firearms as well.
Yep. And back to the Echelon itself, we want to kind of go over how the gun is going to come straight out of the box. So obviously you'll have your firearm itself. They do give you two magazines, one being a extended magazine, which I believe is a 20 round, and your standard length magazine is a 17 round, which I do like that they give you an extended mag right out of the box. They also give you an extra extended base plate, so you can turn your 17 round mag into a 20 round mag, so you can have two 20 round mags.
And can we talk about why they do that real quick?
Sure.
You know, so this gun is typically going to be used as a duty gun, not necessarily a concealed carry gun, although it can be. There's plenty of people that can pull that off. I know myself, I could not pull off that gun in a concealed carry format, but having that ability to make both of the mags that they give you have that capacity of 20 rounds is really, really awesome. So I do like that option.
Yeah,
I really do.
It is very nice.
Yeah.
Also in the box, they do give you three different back straps for the firearm. They give you a small, medium, and large. Medium, I believe, is what comes on the gun from the factory. It's super easy. I actually really like the way that they designed their back straps. It's just got a little clip on the back strap itself. It's right there on the inside, so when you slide that thing on, it clicks into the hole that's recessed into the back of the frame, and it just locks in really nice. So you can actually use this little metal pick on the top to stick it in there, and pop that thing loose, and it slides right off.
And what size do we have on it right now?
I believe I put the small on it.
Okay.
It changes the grip angle a little bit when you put the little bit larger grips on there, so we kind of liked the little bit smaller. It didn't really drive the gun down as much or up as much,
Right.
So we put the small on there. It also comes with a tiny little case, I guess, a little padded bag that you can put the gun in, which we don't really care that much about, but you might. And then it also comes with their optic mounting system. So right now we do have a Holosun 508T on there, but they give you an option to pretty much put whatever pistol optic you want on there, which is very, very cool. It is different than all the other guns that we've seen yet. It comes with these, I think they're self-locking studs or self-locking pins, I think is what Springfield calls them. But they just sit right there in the front of the actual optic cut, and it sits there for whatever optic has a little recessed hole in the front of the optic, so that it locks in really, really well.
Which is really nice to be able to do that right out of the box and be able to put just about any optic that you want on there. I know that with our Springfield Prodigy, we had to spend, probably close to $80 for an adapter plate.
Yep.
And that's when they're in stock. I remember it being really, really hard to get it in stock. I had to have them notify me whenever they came back in stock and put in that order. And then the Canic Rival. Now it does come with a bunch of adapters, but they're really thick, putting that optic a little bit higher. That is really, really low. You're able to co-witness with the standard sights that come with it, which is really nice. Really, really nice.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the way we'll go about kind of going through this gun, obviously we want to give you the pros and cons to the firearm, what we do and do not like about it. But we're going to kind of start with the front of the gun and work over and down. So the first thing, like he had just talked about, is the sights. We were really impressed with the sights. Them being tritium-filled night sights, metal, out of the box, is a big deal. I know a lot of people, they go buy, let's say, not that we want to hate on Glock or anything, but you go buy a Glock right out of the box, almost the first thing you want to do is go find some new sights, because they're leaving a lot for you to want.
That's exactly what I did. The first thing I did to my Glock when I got it, I had to spend $70 for some night sights.
Yeah, they're just not great sights. I mean, they work, but there's nothing great about them.
Yep.
So Springfield did an excellent job with the nice metal sights that they have. They're both dovetailed in, so it's a great locking system for the actual sights. Moving over, you've got a really, really good set of cocking serrations. Very, very impressed with that. It's kind of similar to me to the Walther PDP. If you looked at the way that they have their cuts, they're very large cuts. They're decently deep, but they're very sharp. Not to the point where you're going to cut yourself, obviously, but they just grab onto your hand really, really well. And the slide itself actually tapers down as you get closer to the chamber of the gun. So it creates a little wall right there. So when you get if you were to slip, it's going to hit that wall, and you're still going to be able to rack the gun. So even if you've got wet hands, or hopefully never, but if you had bloody hands or whatever element that you're in, you should be able to get a hold of the cocking serrations.
Right.
And I know Josh was manipulating the gun a lot as well, and that's one thing that we've both enjoyed is the actual cocking serrations. So moving further back, on the back, you even have some, obviously some cocking serrations, but you also have these little tabs or ears or whatever you want to call them. I know different firearm companies have done this and they've called them different things, but the little tabs that they put on the back are really, really nice. I know H&K has done it before.
Yeah, HK or VP9 has it.
Yep,
they are removable, but the problem with the HK is they actually stick out a little bit past the actual slide. This is almost flush, or is flush with the slide itself, but it's kind of cut down and indented so that your fingers can grab it. And it works very, very well.
Yeah, and I mean, the issue, like we've seen before, different owners of HK VP9s, they've actually sheared off because they're just polymer.
Yes.
So, anything that can go wrong on a gun, it may go wrong. And that's the last thing you want to deal with, is going to get a grip on your gun and something, breaking off. So it's like you said, it's really nice that they put it there without putting it there. So they gave you they milled it out to where it's flush with the rest of the slide. So it's a really sleek design on the back. So moving on, through the gun, obviously we know this gun, if you didn't know, this gun is a modular system. So it does have a chassis system that sits inside of the frame, very similar to the SIG P320, which is very, very cool. I know SIG has a ton of different options through SIG itself and other companies that make frames, whether they be metal, steel, aluminum, polymer. They make a lot of different options. As of right now, I think Springfield just has this option, but
it won't be long.
It won't be long. There will be companies out there that are making, maybe some alloy frames, some different textured polymer frames. We don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But as for the frame that Springfield puts on this gun, it is a very, very well thought out and designed frame from what we've experienced. Going from the Picatinny rail from the front, you have multiple slots, so you can fit pretty much any light that you want on there. You have a oversized, what I would consider, compared to some of the other pistols that we've had, oversized trigger guard, so you can, even if you've got a gloved finger, you can get that in there and manipulate your trigger safely. You've got a full ambidextrous system as far as your mag release and your slide stop, slide release go. So you can manipulate that with left-handed or right-handed shooters. And I know you've mentioned before, it being ambi, it's still a very comfortable gun to
so
shoot.
Even though you're right-handed, sometimes with ambi guns, for right-handed shooters, you notice it on that other side. It's kind of rubbing up against you. You don't notice it at all with this pistol.
Right.
And another thing is with the slide lock, with some pistols, we like to have a real high grip, and sometimes we accidentally knock that slide catch up. We have not had that problem with this because of the way that they have the frame that kind of covers it, and it's very low profile, but when you actually want to engage it or disengage it, it's actually pretty easy to use. So I think it was a very good design as far as that. And when you're holding the pistol, what do you call that lever for taking out the fire control?
Takedown lever.
So the takedown lever. Really it kind of works as a gas pedal, sort of like some of the aftermarket 320 gas pedals that they have, but this one comes with it, where it's got texturing on it and it's kind of beveled out so that your thumb just fits right in there, and it works very, very well. A lot of guns attempt to do this, but when you actually start shooting it and the recoil, the gun is moving, your thumb kind of slides off of it. Not with this gun. Your thumb stays right there, your hands stay exactly where you put them. So the texturing on it overall is really, really good.
Yeah, that was another thing that I thought was impressive is, and I don't know if it there's not a ton of holster options out there as of right now that we know of, and that's another thing that we can talk about in a future video when we actually do a shooting video. But I thought it was impressive that they actually gave you not a gas pedal per se, but on the frame itself, they stippled a section right here in front of the takedown lever on both sides. So both right hand and left hand shooters can get their thumb way out there and have a really good way of mitigating that recoil by having that thumb out there.
Which is low already.
Yeah, recoil. I mean, and it's, I think Springfield has done a really good job of listening to what people want. You know, some companies, they just say, you know, well, we're going to keep making what we make because that's what people like, and we don't really, there are complaints, but we still have sales. They've done a really good job listening to what people like. They have given you a great option to put your thumb up there and really get a good wrenched grip on the gun to keep it from moving. And I think that's part of why the recoil seems so low on this gun. Very soft. You know, it's very easy to get this gun to shoot really, really soft and flat.
Compared to the 320, just with the low bore axis, the recoil, it's very noticeable that it's a lot less than the 320.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about it going off and not being drop safe like a 320,
Yep.
Which I do love 320s, you know, but there is that history of them going off.
It's a little concerning.
Yeah, and you know, these have gone through a lot of testing and they don't have these issues, which is, you know, just kind of puts that confidence. If you're going to use that as a duty gun or to protect your life, and you actually want to use this gun not just for plinking, you don't want that gun going off, and especially when it's on your body, which you don't want any gun, you know, firing when you don't want it to, but especially something that you're going to be carrying every single day.
Sure.
Yeah, so the reliability has been there. So about how many rounds have we put?
I believe we have about 800 to 1,000 rounds through it right now.
Okay, so, and we have had 0 malfunctions. It's not even wanted to malfunction.
Yeah, it's
and
proven,
we haven't cleaned it either.
It's proven. I have not. No, and it's proven to be a very accurate gun.
Yes.
So you know, a lot of other YouTubers will tell you part of what goes into accuracy is how well the gun is designed as far as the grip, the trigger. Everything that goes into the gun itself is how well you're going to be able to shoot it.
Right.
So getting into the next part of our review is the trigger itself. We were both pleasantly surprised with the trigger. We've shot multiple striker fired triggers, multiple hammer fired guns. This trigger they did an excellent job on. In the gun store, when we were actually testing the trigger out a little bit, it seemed very similar to your like P320, where you don't feel that crack of the striker actually dropping. It's kind of a mushy. Yeah, I mean it's kind of a mushy feel.
Yeah.
But in actual live fire, we were very impressed with the trigger. It's a pretty crisp trigger. The only negative I really have to say about the trigger is the reset itself.
Yeah.
You do have to let your finger off a little bit more than other guns. That's one thing that's good about the Glock trigger, is it does push your finger forward a decent amount. So
it's just harder to ride that reset just because the amount that you're taking off, you know that when you go to pull it back, you're having to pull a lot more weight. Right. It's not just right there like a Glock or you know, a SIG.
And being honest, in our review, I've had a couple times where I've gotten trigger freeze, where I'll be going to shoot, you know, do quicker follow-up shots, and I don't release the trigger enough for it to reset, and that's where that's coming from. Is it's just not pushing your finger out as much as other guns can. Now that's completely trainable. You know, you can train that out of everything. It's just when we first started shooting the gun, it makes you want to shoot it fast because it's so easy to grip it and the recoil is so low. But that is one thing to think about when looking at this gun, is the trigger is going to be a little bit lacking in the reset, but it's still a great trigger. And then moving on, you know, to the actual shooting that we did, like he said, it's been 100% reliable.
Absolutely.
I haven't had any malfunctions, and that's you know, one thing that we will be providing you guys is we are going to make another video, a continued video into the actual shooting of this gun. We like to spend time with the firearm, shoot it a bunch, actually get used to it before we release a video to you guys to see what you can actually do with the gun. I know a lot of people do their unboxing, they go straight out and shoot it. But with any gun out there, you have to learn it a little bit. They are going to be different, even, you know, Glock to Glock. You're still going to want to spend some time with it and get used to shooting the gun. And we also want to provide you a real review with as many rounds as we can get through the gun as we can. And that's what the goal of that was. So we will have a video with us shooting the actual firearm. We may compare it to some other guns that we already have, and show you guys the difference between a couple different guns.
Yeah, and I'd say let us know in the comments, what guns you would like to see us compare to that. I would say definitely the 320, definitely say the Canic and the CZ P10 C, and other pistols like that, just because they're kind of in that same size and in that same class. But let us know in the comments what you would like to see.
Yeah, I mean, the whole goal for us, having this YouTube channel is to be able to provide you guys with just some regular old Joes that love to shoot, our personal view and opinions about certain firearms, what we do and do not like, and they don't necessarily have to be new guns. If you guys want to see some reviews on some older guns that you may haven't really seen any reviews on, or because those are older and they're a little cheaper, and you'd want to see if we actually like those or not, let us know. We would love to do a video on those guns and get you guys as much facts and opinions as we can.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to say?
It is nice that Springfield already has a threaded barrel option. A lot of times when new guns come out, they don't have a threaded barrel right away. Other companies will have to come out with them first, but Springfield does have that option. So if you wanted to put a compensator, if you wanted to run it suppressed, you have that option to do that, which is really, really cool.
So, just to kind of pull everything together, I know, we talked about a lot. Going back to the pros and cons, what we did and did not like about this gun. I think kind of one of the main points of this gun, what we really liked, is obviously the design and the slide and the frame, the stippling, the cocking serrations, everything they did to make this gun shootable and be able to manipulate this in all different kinds of conditions. They did an excellent job on that. I also think that the actual optic mounting system that they have is phenomenal. I don't really know that it's comparable to anything right now. Yeah.
They did a great job.
To be able to not have to use any plates, and you can put whatever optic you want to on there,
and
that's
keep
amazing.
The standard sights that come with it.
It's amazing. They did a really good job, because like he said before, we've both had firearms that you had to go find a plate. Yep. I have a Kimber that 1911 that I had to buy a plate for. I believe that plate was $120 just for a plate. And that only gets you the one, either an RMR or the 507C. So if you wanted to try a different optic on that gun, you have to go buy another $120 plate. So that's a really, really good selling point for this gun. Like we said, the gun is I believe $669, I think is what I paid at the gun store.
I'd say is about right, in comparison to, like if you were to get a Glock, what would you compare that to, the Glock 45?
Yeah, you can do 45 or a SIG, what would you say, M17?
Mm-hmm. So,
M17?
A Glock 45 MOS is going to cost you about like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe when we own a M17, I believe when we bought that it was about the same price.
Yep.
So,
and you got to buy an adapter, because their optic cut is for the SIG optic, correct?
Right.
So you got to buy an adapter for that.
That's true. Yeah. So and obviously we like a lot of things about the gun, but I will say there are a couple things that not necessarily we didn't like, but could be better, right? Because there's no perfect gun right now. There's always things that you can do to improve the firearms that we shoot. So I would say that the one thing that I would say is a con is the trigger reset. I think there's some there that they could fix. There's other guns out there that are better on the trigger reset. I think for the price point, it's not a premium price, but for what you're paying, I would expect a little bit better reset on the trigger. Yeah. It's still a good trigger. It still works. We still shoot very well with it. But if I'm going to have to pick something out that I don't really like, it'd be the trigger.
If we're being picky.
Yeah. And I believe we also talked about where we did like the sights. As you're shooting, as you're doing follow-up shots, when you have all the actual sights the same color, where it's just that white, you kind of get lost. That front sight gets lost a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think we would have liked to see maybe an orange ring or a green ring or something
on that
like
front sight, just having either orange or green or a bright color to offset the two back white ones, just for the daytime shooting.
Yeah.
That would really help out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's in essence the review on the at least overview of the gun. Like I said, we will have a video up and coming about the actual shooting and live fire of the gun. So look out for that video. If you would like, you can subscribe. like and share the video. And we'll have some videos of some other guns out there for you. And we'll see you next time.